Brothers and sisters in Islam, my name is Brother Shuv. Before I start, a little bit of statistics on why I'm passionate to do what I'm doing. Did you all know that around the world, there's, in 2016, which is our latest statistics, 168 million people are addicted to drugs. This is not how many people have tried drugs. This is not how many people have experimented with drugs. This is how many people actually have a drug addiction. Out of those 168 million, alhamdulillah, the men are winning the race. May Allah reward them. They're sitting at roughly 68%. The scary part is the women. I have an office in Sydney that I'm blessed to have, alhamdulillah. And when I first started our drug program, I'd get the odd woman come in with her mother and father, give her a bit of advice, and I'd usher her out. Now, my office has been going for close to 5.5 years. My statistics are 60% men and 40% Muslim women coming into my office for help. Looking at statistics, 32% of women around the world are addicted to drugs. Out of that, many have died. And we're going to share that journey later. But before we do that, I know a lot of you are going to have somebody in their family or friends or maybe somebody in this crowd who has a problem with drugs. Just to give me an answer, hands up if you or somebody you know has experimented with drugs. Hands up. If you know of someone who has experimented with drugs or has a family member that's affected by drugs. Awesome. MashaAllah, close to 85% of the crowd. Okay, so now that we know that, what I would like you to do is all grab your phones. This is the only time you're going to be given permission to grab your phones. I know people are going to have questions later. I know people might be too embarrassed to talk today. Anyone that's got Facebook, if you can go to Giving Back Australia, which is the big logo up on the screen, and you can just like the page. The only reason I say that is it'll allow you later to inbox my team. We've got females and males in the team that are fully qualified. It's 100% discreet, and you can ask absolutely any question you like. So you can inbox us, and bi'Iznillah ta'ala, it's kept 100% confidential. You can ask from the start, I want to speak to a sister, or you can ask from the start, I want to speak to a brother, and we can arrange that for you, and no one will ever know you spoke to us. So it was raised before, where do we go, what do we do? Inshallah, by contacting Giving Back Australia, we can at least guide you in your state who best to see, or we can do the research for you. Easy? Everybody done that? Everybody like Giving Back Australia? Awesome. Okay, Sheikh, if we can flip to my presentation. Okay. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I come from an organization called Giving Back Australia. It's an organization my wife and I launched in 2014. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the video you've seen is a drug awareness video that we made at Giving Back Australia. Since that video got launched, we've had on an average of 30 to 50 Muslims walk into our office on a monthly basis wanting to get off drugs. Now let me tell you who I am and what drives me and what keeps me going with this drug awareness and helping people get off drugs. My name is Brother Shuv Homsi, and I'm an ex-drug addict. I was on drugs for many years, but prior to that, my parents came from Lebanon. Lebanon was a war-torn country in the 70s, and they came to Australia to get a second chance. They had no children. When they came over here, I was about to say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with me, but thinking about it more, I don't think it was a blessing. I came into this world in 1978, and Mum and Dad wanted to bring me up the Muslim Lebanese way. So, no English at home. Everything was about Islam. The minute I turned 4 or 5 years old, they sent me to a Muslim school. I had to come home and do my homework. Everything was Islam, Islam, Islam. In 1987, 1988, we were growing up in an area in Sydney called Lakemba. Lakemba back then was probably 98% Lebanese Muslim population. So I didn't know any other nationality besides Lebanese Muslim. In 1987, 88, I seen someone that looked different to me, and he was white. And now I know he was an Aussie. So I grabbed him and I belted the living daylights out of him, because he looked different to me, because I didn't know any better. So I came home, and this kid came with his father and told my father what happened. I copped some Lebanese loving, and my father said, "Why'd you do this?" I said, "Because he doesn't look like us." So he said, "This is not why I came to this country, we're moving." So my father asked around and done some research. He wanted to know the most Anglican white man area in the whole of New South Wales. And an area kept coming up called Revesby. So Dad packed us up and off we moved to an area called Revesby. For the ones who love history, 1987, 88, 89 was the beginning of the Gulf War with Saddam Hussein. So Dad moved us into Revesby, and with a 10-kilometre radius, there wasn't a single coloured person. Don't worry about Muslim. Everybody there was white. They were all Gavin, Kylie, Sharon, Steve, Davo, and here comes Shuv. So I went from bashing the white man to going to school. My collar was done to the top, Lebanese sandwich in my lunchbox. And I walked into school, and everyone looked at me like, "What the crack is this guy?" A girl walks up to me in school and she's like, "How you doing?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." She says, "Do you want to go out with me?" I didn't know what going out meant. I said, "Where are we going?" She said, no, like, "We're going to go out." I said, "Yeah, I get it, but where are we going?" That failed. When I went to that school, it was Christmas time. And all of a sudden, I see people up on the stage. Now remember, I'm now 11 years old, and everything in my life was Arabic or Lebanese and Lebanon, which is Lakemba. I knew nothing else. And all of a sudden, there's people standing at the front and their hands like that, and they're going, "Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer." I'm like, what the hell are they saying? Very different language to what I spoke. Who's Rudolph? I wanted to know who Rudolph was. There was no Google back then. So I went home and I said to Dad, "Dad, who's Rudolph?" And Dad looked at me like, he actually thought I was swearing. He got the stick and he was going to smack me. So I got curious and I wanted to know who Rudolph was and who the reindeers were, and, 10 days till Christmas and all this sort of stuff. And then Dad goes, "Why don't you join them?" All right. So I went back to school the next day and I stood next to them on the stage and just trying to sing what they sing. Before you know it, I started enjoying it. I went to their house and they had a Christmas tree and Christmas presents and all this sort of stuff. And then close your eyes and open your eyes again, and it's Easter, and now we're eating Cadbury Easter eggs, and hallelujah, everything's going beautiful. Then I'd come home and we'd have to pray. Then I'd go back to these houses where my mate Stephen and Gavin and Sharon and Kylie lived, and they didn't have to do that. So I started enjoying that life, and coming home and following Islam became a burden. I hated it with a passion, to the level where I can't remember many things because I've fried my brain on drugs, but to the level where at the age of 12, I stopped praying. But in front of my father, I'd go, when my father walked in the room, I'd go, but I wasn't praying. I stopped fasting. I stopped practicing Islam. I would go to my friends' houses and they'd have a Hawaiian pizza. I'd eat it. I'd celebrate Christmas. And I just wanted to live a very different way to the way I got raised. Fast forward, I get to 19 years old. I'm just looking at the age of the group in front of me, so I'd be careful what I say. 18, 19 years old, I have my first girlfriend, and she's a white Australian, 6 generations. And without getting into too much detail, she gets pregnant. So I get home. "Hello, Dad." He goes, "Hello, son." So guess what? He goes, "What?" I go, my girlfriend's pregnant. He goes, guess what? I go, what? He goes, get out. So out I went. $30 in my pocket. Nowhere to go. No structure. Drinking alcohol. Eating forbidden things from Islam. And I've got a girlfriend. And she's pregnant. We go to her family. And she tells them she's pregnant. And they take one look at me and the colour of my skin. And they looked at her and they went, really? Him? So we were doomed. Out she went, out I went. I'm in a 1974 model Celica. A lot of you guys don't even know what that is. And $30 to my name. I went to a guy. He had a factory, deadly chemicals. He had a room on top. I said, can I rent that off you? He said, well, I said, I'm homeless and my girlfriend's pregnant. He said, all right. I took my $30. I went to Lifeline. I said, I've got $30 to my name. I need furniture. My girlfriend's pregnant. No worries, mate. They gave me a vinyl lounge. Back then I used to call it leather. They gave me a TV. They gave me a washing machine. They gave me a fridge and they gave me a bed. Now I thought I was invincible. My dad didn't know anything. Islam doesn't do nothing for me. I got this. I'm a free man now. I'm flying like a bird. No one can tell me where to go. No one can tell me when to fast. No one can tell me when to pray. I want to live the Australian way. I was born here. That's what I want to do. If you want to live the Lebanese way, if you want to live the Muslim way, piss off to what you're proud of. That's the mentality I had. So my girlfriend has the baby. We end up at my auntie's house one day before she had the baby. And then the sheikh was there and he went, you say yes and you say yes and say there's only one God and Bob's your uncle. Whoop, you're a Muslim now. Yep, you're married. See you later. Congratulations. Now I've got a girlfriend that's pregnant. Now she's my wife. I don't know nothing about how we got married. She gives birth. 3 months after her giving birth, I end up visiting a jail. I'm not going to go into detail about that. I come out. You think I'd learned my lesson, yeah? What did I do? Went into another Australian. Hello, bang, she's pregnant. We have 2 kids. So now I've got 1 to one lady, 2 to another, and I'm a raging alcoholic. I thought I knew where happiness was. Every day I would look for happiness. Whether it was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, or the Christmas tree, or the girlfriends, or having kids. I thought I knew more than what my father knew. What an idiot, yeah? Anyway, we break up as well. Now I'm a full-blown alcoholic. All I remember sometimes was starting to drink and then waking up and the car's off because it ran out of petrol, or I don't know where I am. A lot of confusion. Because we haven't got much time, wallahi, I would love to tell you a lot more. I come out of jail again. I went in again. And my parents go, you know what? Let's take you on a holiday. Let's go to Lebanon. I went, great. Never been there. We'll try that one. I hate you. I hate your country. I hate your beliefs. But let's go. So we jump on a plane and we go to Lebanon. And my parents didn't know what was under this shirt. So we go to the beautiful Tripoli. Best city in Lebanon. No arguments, good. And I take off my shirt and I'm in a singlet and I come out to meet my grandparents and my aunties because we had no family in Australia. And my parents are really excited to introduce me to them. They're like, come on, come up. And I'm coming up from the bedroom and I can see this big smile on mum and dad's face. And they're going, oh, and Shuv's going to come up. And then when I come up and they see me without a shirt and all the tattoos are like, hello. And I'm looking at myself like, is my fly undone? Is something wrong? Is my hair the wrong way? And my parents are like, really? So within 2.5 weeks, my parents kicked me out of Lebanon. And they put me on a plane and they said, you go back to Australia. You've enjoyed your fun here? I'm like, but I haven't seen much. They go, yeah, because you've been drunk every day. Every single day in Lebanon, I was blind drunk and taxis would bring me back home. And I come from a village that's very authentic, very traditional, very religious, so I brought shame on the family. And you know what? I enjoyed it. Because I hated the Arab way. I hated the culture and I hated the religion. So I deliberately wanted to shame them. Because I thought I knew better, right? So anyway, I get to Beirut Airport. I'm getting on the plane. And I grab one of the stewardess. And it's Malaysia Airlines. And his name's Mohammed. Mohammed, how much do you get paid? And he told me, I said, if I double it, would you hook me up with a bottle of whiskey? He said, absolutely. I said, thank you, Mohammed. So Mohammed gets me the bottle of whiskey. The plane hasn't even gone up. And I'm drinking. And if there's any Lebanese people in the room, I was obsessed with a Lebanese singer called Haifa. Anyway, my luck, I'm drinking and I hear an Arab voice that sounds like Haifa. No, it wasn't Haifa. But I look around, I'm like, oh my God, this is a Haifa lookalike. All my Christmases have come at once. I go, do you drink? She goes, absolutely. I go, well, let's drink together. So we started drinking from when the plane went up till the plane landed in Sydney. I get off the plane and I'm crab walking sideways. And then I get back home. My brothers pick me up from the airport and they give me that same look my parents gave me when they see my tattoos, like, really, Shuv? And then she calls me. And she says, hi. I went, hi. She said, do you want to show me around Sydney? I said, absolutely. No license, blind drunk. I jump in a car and I start heading to where she sent me an address. Blind drunk, I'm on parole, big trouble by the police. Boom! Smack into the back of a $250,000 car. Now, I went from being drunk to instantly being sober. I went, oh, let's use the word sugar, because we've got kids in the room. So I put the car in reverse and I took off. Because I'm in big trouble now. I'm looking through my phone, who do I know that lives very far away from where the incident happened, and a guy's name called Trevor comes up. I went, Trev. Everyone needs a Trev in their life. So I rang up Trev and he was home. I flew there. I'm under the car. And I'm stripping his car before the police see it. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we plot, Allah plans. We plot, but Allah plans. I'm under the car and I hear someone fall off a push bike. I come out from under the car and there's a girl from the Cook Islands. Hello. She went, wouldn't even say hello. Grabbed her bike, helped her up. And I said to my mate, who's that? And he goes, don't bother. She's been here for 2 weeks. She's from the Cook Islands. I didn't even know where that was. Because if it wasn't Lebanon or Reesby, I didn't have a clue. He said, she's been here for 2 weeks. She's visiting her family and she's going back to her country. We all know because we're neighbors. I said, I'll bet you $100 I'll get her number. Why? I don't know. She wasn't my type. Nothing like her. She wasn't white. She was brown. And all the other ones were white. So anyway, for the old school boys, out came the CDs, All for One, Boys to Men, I Swear by the Moon and the Stars. I became Romeo, and I went to her bedroom window, and every night I blared the stereo and just sit on a boat like a Casanova. Until the day I finally got to meet her. There's more to the story, but I'm looking at my watch and we're running out of time. We got to talk, and I'm going to fast forward as much as I can. And then one day she says to me, I come from a country where there's no such thing as a Muslim. You told me you're a Muslim. What's a Muslim? And for the ones who love da'wah, till today, 2019, there's still not an atom of a Muslim in the Cook Islands. No one, they don't exist. I said to her, Muslim? Yeah, she goes, yeah, you told me you're a Muslim. I said, yeah, but let's not talk about that. She said, but I want to know about your religion. I said, what are you? She goes, I'm Jehovah's Witness. You know the ones that knock on your door? I said, yeah, the ones that give you the magazines for free and then they ask you for a donation. How's that for free? She said, yeah, I'm one of those ones. And I've been studying Jehovah my whole life. She goes, I'd like to know about your religion. I said, I don't know. Let's use the word sugar. She goes, can you get me something? What I remember? Lakemba. Awesome. We jumped in the car. We went to Lakemba. I walked in. The guy goes, Salaam alaikum. I said, yeah, g'day mate, how are you? Can I have one of those books, you know, the Quran? I've got someone outside. She wants to know. And he was looking at me like, why won't this guy say wa alaikum wassalam? I hated it. So I got her a Quran, I gave it to her, I said, now leave me there, work it out alone. There's the book, read it, keep it away from me. So she starts reading the Quran. And every day she looks at me and she goes, you know, women are laughing, subhanAllah, they all do it. And I was like, what? She said, this book is so beautiful. I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I've spent my whole life studying Jehovah. And I knock on people's doors and bring them to Jehovah. But no one's ever shown me this. This is telling me something and you're acting a very different way. Why? I said, keep it to yourself and keep it the hell away from me. One day, she sends me a message. Again, we're fast forwarding. She says, can you pick me up from this address? So, you know what? Wallahi, I had another Salika, but now I've upgraded to a 92 model. The one with the pop-up lights for the old school people. So I rock up, the kicker subwoofers in the back are pumping. I've got my diamond earring on. I'm half drunk. I had alcohol in my lap. And I'm rocking up and 2-pack, you know, I got keys coming from the West Seas, he's pumping. And I go down his driveway and I see a big sign that says UMA. Like, what the crack is UMA? This is where it gets very touchy for me, so forgive me if I choke up a little bit. Forgive me. I rock up and I said, Ashley, jump in the car. And a lady says to me, Salaam alaikum. I said, look, just move out of the way. Ashley, jump in the car. I was angry. How dare her go to a place without my permission? The lady goes, brother, her name's not Ashley. I said, sister, get off whatever you're on. That's my partner, and her name's Ashley. Ashley, get in the effing car. The sister goes to me, brother. I said, yes. She says, her name is Aisha. I said, sorry? She goes, her name's Aisha. I said, no, her name's Ashley. She says, brother, she's been coming here for 3 months, studying, and she embraced Islam today. I choke up because I remember it like it was yesterday. So she jumps in the car, and I called her every name under the sun. How dare you go without my permission? Your dog, everything. I didn't care. I wasn't happy. How dare you? And now you're one of them? I don't like them. To cut a long story short, I went into drugs from alcohol. And then she's like, don't you want your kids? Where are your kids? I said, do you want me to go get the kids? She kept nagging every day. You know, like women when they start, they're like a head pecker, right? So I said, you want the kids? You're going to shut up? You're going to leave me alone? She said, yes. So I jumped in the car. The cameras are on. I took my little friend and I went to my ex-wife. And she was with a bikie. And I said, hello, hello. And she gave me that look my dad gave me. What's he doing here? I said, look, I've got a bit of a problem. They said, what's that? I said, I want my kids. And they looked at me and said, really? I said, yeah, and if I don't get them, I'm driving a car through a wall and I'm probably going to kill the both of you. So her partner's like, just give us some time. I'll get back in contact with you. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye. So I jumped in the car and left. Next day, again, we're fast forwarding. He comes to my house. I look out the window. Oh my God, it's that guy. It's Jake. And I look in the back, it's my kids. Do you think I said Alhamdulillah? No. So the kids come out and he's like, looking if I've got any weapons. He's like, are we all good? I said, absolutely, mate, come in for a coffee. And he's looking at me like, the hell, this guy was going to kill me yesterday, and now today he's offering me a coffee in his home. So I got my kids. What does Aisha do? She says, Shuv, you keep doing what you're doing. Let me bring these kids up on the deen of Islam. So my kids come to my house and they've got a full-blown Aussie accent. G'day, Dad, how are ya? They're Aussies. So Aisha starts teaching them Bismillah, Tahara, Ghusul, Fatiha, Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha. What am I doing now? Taking drugs. So now I'm alcohol and drugs. She puts them in a Muslim school. She starts bringing them up the Muslim way full-time. Until the day, I thought, and this is costing me a lot of money. So I started getting drugs and selling it. 98% of my customers were Muslim. And I made sure of it because I wanted to hustle their money. I had a vengeance against Islam. I hated it. So one day, 5 years goes past. 5 years, I'm high, 18 hours a day. To the level where I don't know left, right, up, down, nothing. I just know how to hustle, get drugs, mix it with more poison, sell it to Abdul, Ahmed, Ahmed and Aisha, and just keep hustling. I didn't know what was going on in my house. One day I was really high. 5 years later, and I'm walking past the kitchen cupboard, and let's say that's my kitchen cupboard, and Aisha goes, yep, she has come back. She's sitting on the other side. She says, Brother Shuv, you've got two options. I said, what are my options? I didn't even think what she's talking about. She says, Brother Shuv, I embraced Islam. I put the scarf on. I put the jilbab on. I've raised your kids on the deen. Have I come near you? I said, no, you haven't. She says, but now I need to. Because now I've finished my Sharia. And you don't even know that I got 99% in my Sharia. I said, what's Sharia? I didn't know. She goes, Brother Shuv, now I need a man that's going to take me to my next level of deen. I've let you go, but you've got two options. Option one, you can keep going in this lifestyle, but give me my talaq and leave these kids with me. I'll raise them on the deen, and I'll make dua for you in every salat. I said, what's option two? She says, option two, you pull up. I don't want the money. Have I ever taken your money to feed the kids? I said, no. She says, have I ever driven your fast cars? I said, no. She says, have I ever enjoyed any of your haram? I said, no. She says, have I ever come in your way? I said, no. She says, because I needed to fix myself first. I needed to understand my sunnah, my Quran, and my Sharia, and know to empower myself. So then when I give you the automotive, if you take option B, I can help you. So I said, whoa, this is too much to comprehend. I've just had a whole line of cocaine. Just let me be for now. A couple of glasses of whiskey, I'll get on a nice balance, and then we can continue this conversation. I walked outside. I'm standing on my balcony. We plot, Allah plans. We plot, Allah plans. Here comes stage 2 of Allah planning for me. My phone rings. I look, this is Dad, my number one enemy. What the hell does he want? Hello? He goes, Assalamu alaikum. I go, hello? He goes, Assalamu alaikum. I go, what? He goes, Assalamu alaikum. I go, alaikum assalam. That was the first time I said, wa alaikum assalam, from 12 years old to the age of 35. He said, son, I want to ask you a question. I said, what's that? He goes, are you happy? I'm standing on my balcony. He goes, where are you? I'm on my balcony. He goes, I want you to look at your cars. I'm not going to tell you what cars they are because I don't want anyone to indulge in my story because it's wrong. But let's just say they were very expensive high-end cars, big gold chains, half a kilo around my neck. I had a ring on my finger worth $250,000. It was a dollar sign with 6 1-carat diamonds. I wanted the world to think that I was Tupac. I was Tony Montana from Scarface. I used to actually ask God every day, not can I have Jannah, please make me Tony Montana. Because that's the pinnacle I want to reach. I want to be the drug lord of the world. So my dad says, are you happy? I says, you know what, Dad? I said, what? I said, no. And I started crying. Why? To this day, I don't know the answer. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows me to ask him, my God, is that going to be one of the questions I'm going to ask him? Why did Allah suffer my heart there and then? So he said, son, are you tired of this life? I said, I'm very tired. Why I said that, I don't know. Because I hated my dad and I hated the deen. He said, son, I want you to go talk to the doctor right now. Doctor? He goes, yeah. Now? He goes, yeah. I go, it's 10 o'clock on a Sunday. The only doctor that's going to be open is an Indian because they're like 7-Eleven. They don't close. Sorry to the Indians in the room. He said, no, son, this doctor never closes his doors. I said, this doctor never closes his doors. He goes, no, I want you to go in, I want you to make wudu, and I want you to make the intention of repentance. And when you stand in front of the prayer mat, you're standing in front of the doctor. And when your head's in sujood, and you say, Subhan Rabbil A'la 3 times, stop. I said, yeah, then what? He goes, then you've dialed the doctor's number, and it's an uninterrupted line between you and him. Speak to him, son. I went, you know what? If it gets this, forgive me if it gets this clown off the phone, I'll go do it and just get it off my back. But I didn't believe it. So I went to make wudu. I stood in my bathroom. I turned the tap on and I went, where do I start? From 12 years old to 35, how the crack am I going to remember how to make wudu? So may Allah bless my wife. She came in the bathroom. Wallahi, when I heard the saying, behind any good man there's a great woman, these words are underestimated. Now I know she was humbling herself, so I don't feel embarrassed. But she comes in, she goes, you're doing wudu? I said, yeah. She goes, I'm about to pray Isha. But because I was so fried, you don't pray Isha at 10:30 at night. But she wanted me to learn from her, pretending that she couldn't see me, so I know how to make wudu. See the wisdom that Islam brings you. Allahu Akbar. So I copied her, thinking that she didn't know. I stood in front of the prayer mat, and then I see these papers come in front of me. And it's the papers that she had written many years ago of the Fatiha, Allah Ahad, Ibrahimiyya, teaching herself how to pray because I forgot how to pray. And I get upset because I'm really hurt and ashamed of myself. So I start reciting. I get down for the first rak'ah in sujood, and I subhana bil a'la 3 times. And I remembered my father said, talk to the doctor. And then I said to myself, you little gronk. That's a Sydney word, meaning fool, for the ones who don't know. I said, you little gronk, you little fool. All these years you haven't spoken to him, and now because you want something, you think you've got the right to speak to the Hakim right now? Nah. So I got up for the second rak'ah. And I said, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. Talk to him. So I went down the second rak'ah and I said, oh Lord, I've got nothing besides your mercy right now. If you help me through this and open my heart to you, I promise you, I will continue to work in your name until you send the angel of death to take my soul. At that very second, you're all going to think I'm crazy, but wallahi, I'm not. In my right rib, I felt like an injection come into me. And it sucked something out, I couldn't breathe, and it injected like the Hulk into my body. I finished my prayer, I walked into the lounge room, I said, Aisha, she goes, yeah. I said, I'm done. Now, just so you understand what I'm done, I was addicted to 5 different drugs, 18 hours a day for 5.5 years. So this is not something very simple. She goes, Shuv, calm down. I said, I'm done. Something just happened in that prayer. Whatever it was, I don't know, but there's something inside me. I'm done. So she rings my old man and she says to him, whatever you said to your son, he's gone from being a junkie to losing his mind. So dad says, look, we'll take you to the doctor tomorrow. Calm down. Rah, rah, rah. Oh my God, look at the time. You sure? Okay. If anyone thinks I'm going too long, put your hand up and I'll just walk out, all right? I'm good at that. When my wife puts her hands up, I just know to leave the house. We go to the doctor. The doctor looks at everything I'm on. He requests an urgent blood test. It comes back within a couple of hours. We go back and he looks at me. And for the Egyptians in the room, he's an Egyptian doctor. He goes, Ehda. What's that? I think I said it right. If I didn't, forgive me. I can't even speak English properly, let alone trying to attempt Egyptian. And he looks at my results and he starts writing prescriptions. He goes, this prescription's for that, that's for that, that's for that, that's for that, that's for that. And the story's deeper, we don't have time today. And I looked at the prescriptions and I took them off him. And I tore them up. And he looks at my dad, he goes, you need to put him in a mental home. It looks like the drugs have affected him. And I said, doctor, nah. So he draws a line on a piece of paper like that, and he draws a line down. He writes 0 to 7, and then down there he puts an X, and he puts it first to me, and he points at it really angry. He goes, right now you're tough, mate, because your blood results show that you've got enough drugs to stay high for the next 7 days without even taking anything. But in 7 days, your body's going to go into shock, my friend. And if you think you're Superman, you want to hope your wife's got triple O on standby, because you're going to be dead. I looked at him, I said, doctor, he said, yeah, and I smiled. And that's the first time I remember I smiled since I was 12 years old, because I suffered a lot. I said, doctor, I made a contract with my Lord. And if I don't break that, he's not going to break his either. So you don't understand what I'm doing right now, but thank you for your help. Wallahi, I take an oath by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that from that day, I didn't get a single withdrawal or craving for a single one of my addictions. One day I heard along the way in one of someone's talks, "Kum ma Allah wa la tubali." Be with Allah and never worry. And I went, there it is. Be with Allah and never worry. It makes sense to what happened before. Be with Allah. So I said to my wife, I made a contract with my Lord, so I need to go. She goes, where are you going? I said, I'm going wherever the planes take me, and I need to research drugs. I need to understand. I want to help. I made a contract with God, and I'm not going to break it. So I jumped on the plane, and I traveled half the continent, going into rehab centers, sitting in the corner, asking him if I can just do some research. Then I'd done some studying in the UK. I'd done some studying in Australia, a lot of studying in Australia. I came back over here, and a lot of my research started showing me things that was making even me, the ex-junkie, ex-drug dealer, popcorn brain, nervous. What I came to discover is a lot of us think drug addiction is only illicit or illegal drugs, like cocaine, marijuana, ice, alcohol, ecstasy, speed. But one we missed was prescription drugs. We missed the DKOs and the opioids, but we don't have enough time to talk about them today. Today what I want to do is, while I've got all your attention, I want to tell you, before we go into my boring slide, that if you know anybody on drugs, there is help. And inshallah, by the end of this slide, I hope to empower you and show you how you can help them, and carry on from where my beautiful brother Wa'il finished off, about if you know someone with a problem and how to handle it. Can we flick to my slide, please? There's more to my story, but no, they got to switch on that to.
That's been switched on already.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a little journey, on a little roller coaster here, on statistics. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk in the capital city of methamphetamines, known as ICE in Australia. Perth is the leading drug capital of Australia. And when we go through this journey, you're going to be shocked to see why. Okay, my first slide is about the age groups of people that have got problems on drugs. I'm going to simplify this here. Well, naturally, all our eyes are going to go up here to 20 to 24. Yeah, we know a lot of people in that age group that are on drugs. But you know the sad part? Let's scroll our eyes all the way to the bottom. Look at that age group. 5 to 14. I'm a drug interventionist. I had a beautiful brother named Rob. Anyone that follows Giving Back Australia, you'll know Rob is in a lot of my videos. Rob's mother got him on drugs at the age of 3. Why? Because he was too restless. So she went to a dodgy doctor who gave her under the table some drugs to make her son more stable. So if you want to know, do kids at this age really become drug addicts? The answer is yes. One must ask himself, are my brothers and sisters safe? Are my siblings going to be safe? I can't answer that question, because I can only tell you from what's coming into my office. Look at the other age groups that stand out. Look at this 15 to 19 years old. 4.11% of Australian population of that age group not have experimented, but they've actually got a problem with drug addiction. So these statistics, ladies and gentlemen, are not showing you how many people have tried it once or twice. This is showing you how many people are actually dependent on drugs, or at least think that they need it to survive or get on with their day-to-day lives. Number of deaths. This is one of my favorites. I'm going to give you a second to absorb this here. Look at this. We got alcohol down here, 1990 to 2017. There's a lot of alcohol awareness, so it hasn't really gone up that much. Look at drugs. 1990, we had, let's say 700 for argument's sake. In 2017 are the last statistics. And look at it. It's more than doubled. And for the ones who love statistics, around the world, how many people have died from illegal drugs overdose? 318,000 people in just 2016. No longer with us. The part that scares me, the Prophet ﷺ said, the way you live is the way you die, and the way you die is the way you face Allah. Imagine how many of these people were Muslims or non-Muslim, irrelevant, but they're going to face their Lord in that condition. Now, I am also blessed to be the New South Wales funeral director. So I deal with the dead. When my beautiful brother Mahmoud comes up, if I can remember, I'm going to ask him about an experience he had with me, with two brothers under the age of 30, laying on my sinks, built like a brick, dead from a drug overdose. And I'm going to allow Mahmoud to tell you how it affected him and what he's seen with his raw eyes. Wallahi, if this doesn't affect you, you're a brick wall. Every week in Sydney, every week, I get 1 or 2 drug overdose deaths. And the families are shameful, embarrassed, freaking out. I'm copping the phone calls at 1 in the morning. Oh, can we just throw him in a hole before the sun comes up? Because we don't want no one to know about this. Have you got a hole somewhere we can throw him in? Do we have to take him in the mosque? People are going to see him in that condition. The families are freaking out. Guess what? It's too late. We don't want to talk about drugs. We don't want to mention drugs. We think it's embarrassing. Well, there's your answer. They're going to keep dying. Here, we're looking at not people that are in jail and not people that have gone to jail because of drugs. This is people that have been maybe pulled over for a drug test. This is people that maybe committed a crime and police believe they're under the influence, so they've drug tested them. Whatever it may be, while they're held by the police in custody or under the suspicion without going to jail or being proven guilty, this is just the ones they've tested that have come up positive. And look at the state, ladies and gentlemen. When I came to Perth, do you know how many people said to me, we don't have a problem with drugs? I was even told, when you go to a certain place, please don't talk about drugs because we don't have a problem with it. Really? This is Perth? Look at the statistics. Look at the percentage. Does that not scare you? This is just the people that are getting tested. These are not the people in jail. And while we're on that note, the Muslim population in Australia, if we're talking about jails, yeah? Just to show you the condition of the ummah and what's happening because of drug dealers and drug use and everything with the Muslims. Rough population of Muslims in Australia is 2.2 to 2.5% Muslim in the Australian population. 2.2 to 2.5, give or take, yeah? Do you know what the percentage of Muslims is in jail? 10%. We're only 2-point-something% population Muslim in Australia, but alhamdulillah, we're holding the title of 10% of Muslims incarcerated inside jails. And again, people want to tell me that we don't have a problem. I go to jails every week. I visit Muslims on drugs every week that are in jail. And you know who I feel sorry for? That poor old lady that's coming with her pension money, that's caught a bus to meet me there. She's putting him $100 buy up so he can eat the little brat inside jail because he doesn't want to eat jail food. She's sacrificing from her mouth. Why? Because he got it wrong and now he's in jail. And then you look around, you scan your eyes, and every second or third woman is a scarved lady visiting her son. And they're taking the drugs in jail. Wallahi, I heard of a story recently of a scarved sister that smuggles in drugs, I'm not going to tell you how because I'm disgusted, into the jail for her family members to sell them in jail so her and her family members can make money. And people want to tell me we don't have a problem. This is the slide that I'm actually upset about because I come from Bankstown and I thought, you know what, we hold the #1 title for drug addicts testing positive. But I'm actually jealous of Perth. You guys definitely hold the title. So congratulations, 86%. And people want to tell me, we don't have a problem with drugs. There's no problem with drugs in Perth. Perth is a very quiet city, very laid back. There's no problem with drugs. 86% tested positive for drugs. Next on the list is Brisbane. Next is South Australia, Adelaide. And this is the one that I'm absolutely surprised about because every second house in Bankstown is a drug dealer. I don't know how you guys won the title. I was hoping to fool you and flip them around so I can show off and say I come from the town that's #1, but we've got to be honest with each other. Look at this. 75% of detainees interviewed and drug tested tested positive. 75%. Wallahi, these are very scary numbers. What did they test positive for? What did I tell you at the very start of this talk? Perth was the capital for what? Ice, methamphetamines. Let me tell you a little bit about ice. Ice is frying people's brains like grabbing someone's brain, putting it in a microwave and pushing start. You might as well. I'll share a 2-minute story. A father rang me once, old Lebanese man, please help my son that's on ice. I went and carefully analysed him. Oh, fried. There's no coming back from, once you're fried from ice, there's no coming back even if you stop. You're fried till the day you die. No coming back. It's irreversible damage. He was fried and I said to his family, please put him in a mental home or get him professionally looked after. Don't leave him in your home. No, he's my son, no problem. Close our eyes, open our eyes. He comes home one day, he grabs a brick, smacks his father in the head because he believes that demons are in his father, he's trying to get him out. Father falls down the stairs, he goes down, grabs the first knife, starts severing his father's head off. Grabs the second knife, he's 3/4 through the head. Third knife, he's taken the father's head off. The father's a Hajj. The mother runs out, he locks the doors, goes in for a shower, cleans himself up, and he's about to go out. Police surround the house. The first 5 police that walked in, dropped and fainted. Gone. They see these veins and everything coming out of a guy and there's no head. Then they see this guy coming downstairs and he's going out like nothing happened. So they arrest him and for a very long time they couldn't find the head. Then eventually they found it in one of the toilets. And people want to tell me that Muslims don't have a problem with drugs. How many more of these cases do we need? ICE is frying the Muslim Ummah. In Perth, you guys have got a major problem with ICE. When I've done some research on why, one of the reasons we don't have enough time is because a lot of people work in the mines, they work super long hours, ICE keeps them awake longer, they're able to work the overtime, they're able to make the money, equals taking more drugs. Along with many other reasons, but we don't have enough time. The next one is cannabis. Funny story about cannabis, I was given a talk in Brisbane, and one of the brothers in Q&A goes, brother, why do you say cannabis is haram? I said, why? He goes, didn't Prophet ﷺ say anything from the ground is halal, brother? I'm not going to tell you what I said to him. But marijuana causes major damage. I've had brothers that have been on marijuana for that long. That's why it's called dope. When you talk to them, it's like talking to a brick wall and there's no one home anymore. Gone. After that is heroin. Heroin's starting to come back. For the ones who don't know anything about heroin, subhanallah, it's grown. Put your hand up if anyone knows where over 90% of heroin is grown. Yes, sir. Tasmania? It's grown in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a Muslim country. They grow the poppies where they get the heroin out of. It's extracted, it's put in gel form, and it's taken over the mountains into Iran. And then from Iran, it goes into Asia. And then in Asia, we all know, import, export, and it just gets distributed all around the world. That's a black heroin. Now Vietnam has got a white heroin, and they're growing about 10% of the market. Heroin was big in the 90s, predominantly in New South Wales, when the Vietnamese came over here, and now in an area called Cabramatta. It was a cheap drug, and it was normal to walk through the streets of Cabramatta and walk over people that were dead from a heroin overdose with a needle still stuck in their arm. Now, heroin died. Now it's coming back. Why? Because it's become cheaper than things like cocaine. So people are starting to experiment with heroin. They're smoking it. They're injecting it. They're mixing it with other drugs. I've even seen people put it in their drinks. And ecstasy, wallahi, just before I jumped on the plane to come here, I've been watching ecstasy. I don't know if you guys have those under 18 raves where they just jump up and down for like 10 hours with the music going boom, 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 boom. I don't know what they get out of it, but those dance parties, do you have them here? The under 18s? Well, for the last 12 months, let's just say the last 12 months, let's say 99% of all dance parties, at least one under 18 boy or girl died from a drug overdose. At every single dance party in the last year, someone died from a drug overdose, from ecstasy. Now there's a report, and they said, oh, we know how to solve it. And I'm watching the news and I'm going, we've got a solution. They said, first, we'll put a machine so these kids can test it and make sure it's pure before they take it. And I'm like, what? Second, we won't make it illegal to arrest them. Third, we'll halve the police so these guys don't feel intimidated and they don't need to take them all at once. I was that angry, I switched off the TV and I threw the remote. I mean, is this the answer? We're going to make it easier for children under the age of 18 to take drugs? And then they think that's going to kill less children? Guess what's going to happen to all the drug dealers? They're going to go ripper. And they're going to get all these kids under the age of 18 and they're going to say, guess what? Did you hear the news? Now you can take more in. Don't worry, the police are not going to do anything. These kids are naive. They're going to take the drugs. They're going to go in. They're going to take more. Oh, I can put it on the machine. It's going to tell me how pure it is. I buried a Muslim 6 months ago from the same thing. Overdosed at a dance party. He was on the ground, frothing out of his mouth, and all his Muslim mates ran away because they didn't want him to be questioned by the parents on how he died. And now their best answer to the problem is, we'll just legalize it just in a different way. Well, those statistics I showed you about kids from 5 to 12 and all the way to 18, we all know if that happens, can you imagine what next year's statistics are going to read? Wallahi, it's very scary. I don't believe that's the answer, and I totally disagree with making it easier for children under the age of 18 to be able to take ecstasy or even test if it's pure or not. Allahu Akbar. Now, drug offences. This one blows me away. I'm going to show you something. I want everybody to look at 2010 to 2011, right? So people that got arrested for drugs in Australia, 14,195. Then we move on a couple of years, and in 2018 to 2019, so far, 2019 hasn't even finished. And there's been 30,760 people arrested for drug offenses. And people still want to tell me, brother, we don't have a problem with drugs. We're cool. We'll threaten our family, and we'll get into that later, but we don't have a problem. 2019 hasn't even finished. Look at the jump. From 14,000 to 30,000. It's more than double. Now, this slide is one of my favorites, because a lot of people tell me in Muslim countries, we don't have drugs. Or I get an addict, and the addict, his parents say to me, look, we don't need to fix him. We're just going to take him to Lebanon, or we're going to take him to Saudi Arabia, and he'll pray, and everything will be just fine. I'm like, brother and sister, we need to work on the underlying issues. We need to work out what took him to drugs. We need to work out what's going on with him. Taking him to another country, no. In Islam, Muslims, in Muslim, dominated countries, we don't have that problem. Well, let's look at these statistics. So in 2017, now these statistics came from rehabilitation centers, hospitals, police stations in these countries, yeah? Look, so in America, 3.45% of America has a drug disorder. Straight underneath, Afghanistan, 2.47%. Why? We mentioned earlier that the heroin is grown in Afghanistan, so they've got access to it, and it's much cheaper than we're ever going to pay. Again, I watched a recent documentary. They've actually got a bridge where they call it Heroin Bridge, where all these Muslims sit under this bridge and they just shoot heroin all day. Look at this country. Lebanon, 2.23%. Saudi Arabia, 1.71%. Iraq, 1.57%. Egypt, 1.47%. Again, this is from what we know. How do we deal with this issue? Brothers and sisters, we're dealing with it in the wrong way, and I'm going to say kindly, unintentionally. Because we don't have a lot of awareness, we don't have a lot of workshops, we don't understand how to deal with the matter. So unintentionally, we get it wrong. We deal with things emotionally, we deal with things the way we know best, and what we don't realize is whether it's porn addiction or drug addiction, we're actually causing further damage. Again, unintentionally. What is taking these individuals to drugs? Because I don't like to focus on why a person is an addict. I like to focus on what took them there, how did they get there, what's keeping them there. Social capital. So these are some of the things why people can be on drugs. The first one, relationship bonds. So what was the relationship with their mother like? What was the relationship with their father like? Did they have a father in the house? Did they have a mother in the house? Were their parents addicts? Was there domestic violence? Was there something in that home? Did they not have friends? Were they not confident? Were they segregated? A lot of that, when you speak to an addict and when we speak to Mahmoud, you'll see how much of that will come up. The next one, domestic violence. A lot of kids that are on drugs today tell you about how the father beat the mother up or the mother beat the father up, and it traumatized them. And they got on drugs at a very early age because they ran away from it, they didn't want to be around it, and then someone goes, look, take this, it'll make you forget it. One led to another, next thing you know, these guys are full-blown drug addicts. Loss of family members. I've got a brother in Sydney who was renowned for his Quran recitation. Beautiful Quran recitation. But he was a mummy's boy. Mummy dies when he's 12, boom. Hafiz, beautiful voice. Daddy goes, I don't have nothing to do with you. And he goes overseas and gets married. This kid ends up in the streets. Now, every week, some idiot, some fool, grabs the camera and videos this guy while his pants are down to his ankles in the streets, high off his head on ice, his brain is fried, and he's just saying some very crazy stuff. And Muslims are giving him money to do silly things so they can videotape him and put it on social media. His mother's gone, no direction, 12 years old, father wanted to move on with his life, Bob's your uncle, now this guy's a full-blown addict. Physical capital. This is one of the big ones in Sydney. I don't know about Perth. In Sydney, a lot of people work in jobs. Like right now, a majority of the Bankstown area were invested big money with this certain individual that was an investor and making everybody money, and everybody started remortgaging their houses, selling their wives gold and everything because this guy was giving them unrealistic figures. He disappeared with all their money, and now these guys are absolutely destroyed. And I've seen many of them now turn into alcohol, turn into drugs, turn into gangsters, shooting each other. Big wars are going on now in Sydney. Why? Because of this. They've lost employment, they're financially unstable, they don't know which way to go, so they hang around the wrong crowds, they start looking at how to make haram money, buy and sell drugs, they start taking the drugs, before you know it, they're an addict, or they live larger than they can afford. So they're bringing in $1,200 a week, but they're living on $2,000 a week on a credit card. Then the credit card bill starts coming in, then they go, oops, they freak out, they go start hanging around the boys are on drugs, they start taking drugs with the boys. Human capital, so mental health, emotional health, physical health. You guys all watched that video from One Path earlier? That sums this up in a nutshell. As Muslims, we have to believe that yes, there is depression, there is anxiety, there is postnatal depression, there is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, there is many mental illnesses. But a lot of us don't want to accept it and don't want to believe it. So our family members feel like they're shame or taboo or embarrassed to talk about it. So then they go to drugs to numb their pain. Cultural capital. A lot of us come from strict cultures. Like I know, as you heard from my story before, I come from a Lebanese background, and when my mother and father came here, they were very strict. They were very strict about the way they raised us because they wanted to raise us the Lebanese way. And I just didn't understand because I grew up in this country, and what I was seeing and what they were trying to do was like oil and water. It didn't mix, it didn't make sense. So a lot of that pressure, when these kids turn into teenagers, they run away from it. Okay, what are we doing at Giving Back Australia? I want to show you a little example of what we do. What we do is we take the addict, we work on his mental condition, whether it's our female counsellor or our male counsellor, and then we inject them back into the community. Teaching them to believe in themselves, teaching them to have confidence, teaching them that Islam gives you a second chance, teaching them that society will accept them again, and also teaching them skills that they can use to get a job, they can use to go back to their families, and we're having great results. I'm going to share a quick video we've used, if we can hold the microphone on the thing. It's 2 minutes, and then we'll grab Mahmoud. But I want you to see everybody wearing a black shirt in this 2-minute video was an ex-addict that came through my office. And half of them life gave up on. Look at the results they got from believing in themselves. Bismillah. This program that you just watched has had now delivered food by addicts to needy families. In the last 5 years, we have managed to feed close to 12,000 families. So the addict has gone from being a drug addict, coming into our office, having no hope in the world, to getting professional help, and then towards the end of the program, joining a team called Food Run, which is our warehouse that you just seen, and they learn to run a program by themselves. I don't micromanage them. They team up together, motivate each other, get together, and they deliver food to needy families. And it just shows you a fine example that you should never give up on someone, and there's always hope if you want to give it to people.